Joining us now on NewsHour is Mohammad Alhadj Ali, who's the chairman of the Syrian Welsh Society in Cardiff. Thanks very much indeed for joining us today, Mohammad. So I wanted to ask you first of all about your home city, which is Aleppo. I know you've been based here for a while, but obviously you still have friends and family there. What's it been like for them?
Good evening. After a decade since the uprising in Syria started, we still hope that one day the peace and the democratic country will be seen by the whole world, which is called a new Syria. About Aleppo, I missed many friends, I missed many relatives there, and the hospital where I did part of my training as a doctor, as a medical doctor there in Aleppo, that was demolished to the floor, to the ground. Hundreds of thousands from the eastern part of Aleppo city being forced to be displaced and to be also refugees in the neighboring countries. It's a devastating situation. Every time I remember Aleppo and I look at the ruins and the huge amount of humanitarian disaster happened there by Syrian regime and their allies. It's really very harmful and very emotional when we remember Aleppo. But we hope one day the free Aleppo, the new Aleppo, will come to the scene.
And you also said there that you hoped that there would be prospects for peace. Now that we're 10 years into this conflict, why now? Why might there be peace and why are you hopeful?
Unfortunately, we have to say very clearly that Syrian people and their peaceful march, which started in March 2011, it's been like, I would say, the grass under the giants, under the elephants. So many superpowers interfered in the Syrian story, in the Syrian case. And they supported Assad regime as well. And they gave this regime all means of support to continue crushing these demonstrations and these people. Hopefully, now with the changes we see on the international scene, that this disaster should end and Syrian people deserve a better future. And this leadership of Syria now, this dictatorship, can't continue anymore. We see now many of these Syrian officials now on the sanctions list, and this regime can't continue to operate in Syria anymore.
And you talked about what you called interference there from the international community, but what would you like to see them doing now?
We would like the international community to stand by Syrian people, to support their case, and to support a democratic change and transfer of power in Syria with a very peaceful way, with a very peaceful process. We know that Syrian regime didn't continue and didn't stay alive without the support being given by Russia and other allies as well. And we would like a better willing from the international community, from superpowers, from regional powers as well, to say that Syrian people and their humanitarian disaster should end. If you look at the numbers of refugees in the neighboring countries, we talk about 5.6 million people. They are displaced in refugee camps. If we look at people who've been internally displaced, we talk about more than 6 million people being in this position. 2.4 million Syrian children, they are out of any education system. And as the reporter mentioned in Tarheen as well, this is like oil market, which provides support by oil for heating and for other basics of life that being destroyed. And that what happened in bakeries, in hospitals, in human aid bases. And we need that to end. We need that suffering of Syrian people to end. And they deserve a better life, certainly. And hopefully, as I said, with the changes now in the international scene, we will see a better willing to support Syrian people in their march and in their move to a better stage in their life.
OK, Mohammad Alhadj Ali from the Syrian Welsh Society, thanks for joining us today.